probably the best way to go about it. So main important thing is we have 3x squared minus 16x plus 15, or plus 5. So you did the exact same thing. We understand we can't factor anything else. So to write this as a product of two factors, we're going to use our x, and we just do 3 times 5, which is 15. And then our b, so our a times c, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. Our a times c is 3 times 5 is 15. And our b is going to be negative 16. You got to make sure we bring that negative sign with us. So now I look at what two numbers multiply to give me positive 15, but add to give me a negative 16, and that's why I could see automatically your problem was you didn't have the negative 15, negative 1. Now again, the biggest mistake that a lot of students will say is they, just because when a was equal to 1, we would just take our two answers and we say, oh, well that's your answers. But if you were to check FOIL or multiply these out,
you're going to be missing that negative. Or that
you notice, exactly, you're not going to get that 3. And even just throwing a 3 in there, it's still not going to get your answer because negative 15 times negative 1 still does not give you 5. So it doesn't even matter. Multiplying that 3 is not going to solve that out. So what we need to do is we need to write out, what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite out 3x squared minus 15x minus 1x, or just x, plus 5. So all I did is I rewrote this equation out with now these two terms that we used. So mathematically, this is the exact same. Negative 15x minus x is still negative 16x. You see what I did? But now, being able to do that, what that allows me to do is now I'm going to factor by grouping, which means I'm going to factor the first two terms and factor my last two terms. So now I look at this and I say, all right, what can I factor out?
3.
A 3 and also a x. So when I factor out a 3x, I'm left with an x minus 5. And my whole goal is to get two of these terms together. So since I have a negative x plus 5, I'm going to want to factor out a negative 1, which will leave me now with an x, because right now that's a negative x. You want to make it a positive x.
Yeah.
So you factor out a negative 1, that leaves you with an x minus 5. And I'm not going to write the negative 1 because we know we can just write that negative sign there. Now we look at it and we say, oh, all right, these two now have an x minus 5 in common, so now you can factor out an x minus 5. And then you'll be left with a 3x. As you remember, there's that minus 1 there. Right in there. Now, if we just kind of double check to make sure, does x times 3x, is that going to give you 3x squared? Yep. Negative 5 times negative 1, give you positive 5. And then if we were to do the inner terms, we would check that they'd also give us negative 16. So that's pretty much about it.